You're listening to Boston Praise Radio and TV. I'm Pastor Bruce Wall. We are live in the studio and preparing for yet another broadcast on our radio and TV network. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of our broadcast family. Thank you for choosing us on this Veterans Day. Here in the city of Boston, we are 102.9 FM radio and bostonpraiseradio.tv. You can watch us on television, listen to us on the radio, or also see us on social media. Today we have a very interesting topic that I'd like us to spend some time thinking about and talking about. And we're talking about the City Council race. We're talking about the District 7 race here in the city of Boston. And we're talking about the person who won that race. That was Reverend Minyard Culpepper, won the City Council race for District number 7. We are very proud of the fact that he made that decision to run for office. We're very proud of the fact that he worked diligently to achieve this goal. Many others have tried to run for the city council and they did not do as well as they had planned. Sometimes their fault and the fault that there was a candidate that was a little bit better, that was able to do a little bit more. And Reverend Minyard Culpepper was one of those candidates who did a little bit more. So let's spend some time talking about how Reverend Minyard Culpepper won the District 7 City Council race. How did he do it? I'm Pastor Bruce Wall, and today we're going to look closer. We're going to look closer at one of the most important local elections this year, the victory of Reverend Minyard Culpepper in the District 7 City Council race. Now, District 7 is the heart of Roxbury and includes parts of Dorchester, the South End, and Fenway. Again, Dorchester, South End, and Fenway. This district is rich with history, culture, activism, and community leadership. It has been a bellwether for the challenges and hopes of Black Boston. This year's race carried extra weight because the seat was open. There were no incumbents running in this particular race. The previous councilor resigned, and now Pastor Culpepper and others decided to put their hat in the ring because they wanted to run to become the new District 7 City Council. So I want us to unpack, how did he win? And what does his win mean for Boston going forward? We have to analyze these races. When people win, when they lose, analyze, fact check, try to figure out how they achieve something that many other people running for office for the first time did not achieve. Now, number one, Reverend Culpepper is a well-known figure in Boston. He has served as a pastor, a community leader. He served as a lawyer, a former top official at HUB. He's a voice for fair housing and stable neighborhoods. So for years, he's been present in community meetings, his church services, housing discussions, and local events. When he entered the race, people already knew his character and reputation. They knew that he had a chance. There were a number of other people who were doubting his possibility of winning a city council seat, more specifically the District 7 seat. But voters often ask these three questions. One, when they're getting ready to vote for a candidate, they ask one of these questions. One, Do I know this person? Do I trust this person? And will this person show up for us? These are questions that I ask myself when I'm getting ready to vote for a candidate. I'm going to give them to you again. Jot them down if this is going to be a profitable exercise for you. Maybe you're thinking about running for office. Maybe you're trying to make a decision whether or not you're running for a state position, federal position, or whether you're going to run for a city opportunity. You're going to step in to a city opportunity. For years, again, Reverend Culpepper has been present. So these are the questions. Do I know this person? Do I trust this person? And will this person, when I have a need, will this person show up? I recently had a need here in the city of Boston regarding a situation that I thought needed some attention. I sent a communication to all of the at-large and district city councilors, and a number of them responded. So, in answer to the question, will this elected official show up for me? Whenever I go to the polls to vote, that's the question I ask. Did this person show up when I had a need, or when somebody close to me had a need, when somebody in my church had a need? Did they show up? So his opponent, Syed Hamed, he also brought a strong story. He's a Boston public school educator. He's a mentor. He's a youth advocate and someone deeply connected. Hamed was deeply connected to immigrant families across the district. This wasn't a weak race. It was competitive, it was passionate, and it was close. Because in the preliminary election, the first election, which was to sift out all the other candidates so that in the final election, only two would run against each other. And Syed Hamed won the primary election. And people were saying that that's it, that Reverend Culpepper was not going to win or have a chance to win in the final election in November, but he did. The preliminary election had 11 candidates. That's a big group of people. That's a crowd. The results were tight. Hamed came out slightly ahead. Culpepper was right behind him. The rest of the field was scattered. 11 people. 2 came out, Hamed and Culpepper. What that told us was the district was very divided. No single voice dominated. And the general election would come down to who could unite the community. Would it be Hamed or would it be Reverend Culpepper? Which one of these two would be able to become the victor? And we didn't know. I was up late watching these election results coming in, and it was so slow, and the District 7 votes were coming in so slowly. And so I decided I didn't want to stay up until 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have to. So I went and I slept, and I waited. And the next morning I woke up and saw that Reverend Culpepper had won the race. Again, it was close. The question for both candidates was simple. Who could build a coalition? We're talking about how Culpepper won the race. How did he pull this race out of the bag? Did he know, was he that confident that he was going to end up as the victor? Or was he just like a few other candidates when they run for the first time or the second time and they're trying to win? They rolled the dice and they made a decision. I'm going to run. I'm going to do the best I can. Even if I lose, I'm going to do the best I can. The question for both candidates was simple. Who could build a coalition? Which one could build a coalition? Culpeper began consolidating his support. He consolidated. And the endorsements and mobilization was the key to him winning the race. One major reason Culpeper won was he organized his support. He won because he organized his support. He received endorsements from the Boston Teachers Union. He received endorsements from respected neighborhood leaders, and he received endorsements from activists connecting to housing and justice work. Endorsements made a difference, but endorsements do not mean anything if people just give you their name and say they're going to support you and they walk away. They've got to do more. They need to be visible. And I think the Boston Teachers Union made a difference for Reverend Culpeper because they not only endorse, but they're trained. They know how to mobilize. And they'll go to the polls on election day, and they will pass out the cards of the candidates, the literature, the information for the candidate. And this is what the Boston Teachers Union did. They went throughout District 7. They had their people at the polls, and they were helping Reverend Culpeper to gain that significant win that he achieved. The Boston Teachers Union, the respected neighborhood leaders and activists connected to housing and justice, they all said, we're going with Reverend Culpeper because he's a proven commodity. He is a person who understands and knows about housing, federal housing, which is where he's an expert, but he also knew about local housing needs, and people knew that about him. There was nothing new about him. People would take him or leave him. Hamed was a new entity for many of us. I didn't know him. Many of the people that I associated with did not know him, but everybody knew Reverend Culpeper. Now, these organizations that endorsed him, they went door knocking. If there's one race that I thought was very interesting, is when Charles Yancey was running against our Attorney General. And what happened there was that she said she knocked on 5,000 doors. Now, I'm not saying that she knocked on 5,000 doors, but her team did. They went door knocking. They were phone banking. They targeted their outreach. They made a decision. These are the people that we're going after, whether these are the people who don't vote or these are the people who are perennial voters. He targeted his outreach. I would love to hear how he did that. He offered rides to the polls. You want to go vote? You can't get there? We'll take you there. And the other caveat that he had the church-to-church network. He had the church-to-church network. He was coming to churches. Some pastors may have let him speak. Other pastors just acknowledged his presence. He wanted to come to Global Ministries. I suggested that he come to the radio station. He'd get him more bang for his buck. And again, door knocking, phone banking, targeted outreach, rise to the polls, church-to-church networks. These organizations, they know how to mobilize. And even if the church folk didn't know how to mobilize, Reverend Culpeper and the Teachers Union taught him how to do it. So District 7 voters responded to the personal contact. Culpeper's team excelled at it. His experience in housing issues also helped him communicate clearly on development, displacement, and affordability. In a district fighting gentrification pressures, that clarity really mattered. Now, it's one thing for Minyard Culpeper, the Reverend Minyard Culpeper, to make promises during the campaign. It's another thing for him to fulfill those promises. He's going to be known as the candidate who promised and the candidate who fulfilled. The candidate who promised and the candidate who fulfilled. The key issue that shaped this race was these three major issues dominated the conversation. Number one, public safety and the mass and caste crisis. When I was thinking about District 7 and thinking about the race, I thought more about mass and caste. That was the one that I thought about, and was wondering if he had a specific plan already written, documented, that he was going to use to bring about a change on mass and caste. Many of the elected officials made many promises regarding mass and caste, but many of those promises never panned out. Residents are exhausted by the ripple effects of drug addiction, homelessness, and public disorder. They wanted solutions, not speeches. So many of the candidates who are running for mayor, so many of the candidates who are running for District 7, so many candidates who are running for at-large city council seats, they look at mass and caste, they go to mass and caste, they have press releases, they talk about what they're going to do, and once they're in office, there's no plan. There's no plan that's being implemented. So the residents are exhausted by the ripple effects of drug addiction, homelessness, and public disorder. They want solutions, not speeches. They need candidates who make promises or say what they're going to do. They need them to fulfill their commitments. That's why we elected you. And so I'm not just going to sit back and watch Menyard Culpepper do a good job or fail. Now that he's the District 7 City Councilor, I want to offer my support to him, because we cannot have a failure in District 7. We cannot afford a failure in District 7. Let's go to the phone lines and see who's with us this morning. Again, I'm Pastor Bruce Wall, and you're listening to Morning Inspiration on Boston Praise Radio and TV and 102.9 FM radio. Caller, you're live on the air.
Good morning. How you doing, Pastor?
What are you doing up so early?
I'm up early every morning. I hear a little. I hear music in the background.
Uh-oh. Let me take care of that right now. Done. Go right ahead. Can you hear me now?
Offline, what have you, but I think this is historic. So has there been another time when a member of Boston's black clergy has been elected to public office?
Only one that I can recall.
Oh, yeah, you said Reverend Haynes, right?
Reverend Haynes, right, the state representative.
Okay, and not for nothing, because that goes under the radar a lot. What years was that he was in there?
I can't pull that, but he was also going to run for the state Senate seat, and he was gearing up to leave the State House and go to the Senate seat, the state representative.
Well, hold on. I gotta pin you down a little bit. You have to remember a little something, because because he was what, a state rep?
He was the state rep, and it may have been around 1974, 75.
I was gonna say it had to be before the 80s,
right.
And then if we're thinking about other black people who was around at that same time, because he wasn't serving with other people at the same time, right? He wasn't serving when Mel King was there or this or that, right?
Right. I don't think so. I'm trying to look it up now.
Yeah. So this is interesting, and as we have also spoken privately and as I've said publicly, I've also been concerned about pastors, reverends, ministers, what have you, in elected office. Mm-hmm. Because then my question then becomes, where does your allegiance lie? Mm-hmm. right? And particularly with the Christian, you know, dominant kind of religion, what does that mean for people who might be outside of that?
Okay, but let's peel that back. So you have a candidate or someone who wins a position as a city councilor. They're a devout Roman Catholic or they're a devout Muslim. They may not be pastors, but they're very serious about their faith. Their faith does impact their decisions. Correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, let me expand my statement. I'm not big on anybody who uses their religion like as a big, wears it on their sleeve. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that our spiritual and religious, like I don't even like the term religion, mm-hmm. but our spiritual decisions or whatever, I think are ones that are very private and personal, and other than some very basic tenets of humanity, I think that when it's announced in the public theater, mm-hmm. it really serves to do more diminishing and divisiveness than it does unification.
Okay,
and when I say that,
let's go back to Reverend Haynes. Reverend Haynes, 1965 to 1969 as a state rep.
Hold up. Say it again.
1965 to 1969 as a state representative.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Now, I'm born in 71.
Okay.
So
all right.
There you go.
So go ahead. But the other thing, the Roman Catholic Church was very powerful in the city of Boston. Now, they may not have had a priest in office, but the priest knew the State House. And they were always going up there talking to the members of either their parishes or people that they knew to get them to alter decisions that they were going to make. Did you know that?
Listen, this is not going to, let's say, apply in this particular case, because I'm not trying to insinuate that Minyard Culpeper is, affiliated with any nefarious things. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this is also the same Roman Catholic Church who, used to accept Whitey Bulger and them's confessions, mm-hmm. Stephen Fleming. And, so we've had a relationship in terms of that particular organized religion, mm-hmm. with, they worked, hand in hand with the mafia, and, we forgive anything for the right donation. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. For us as black people in the black tradition, I think that we are beholden to a different standard. Because, look, Ku Klux Klan will tell you that they're good Christians, right?
Absolutely.
Right, so
yeah,
we just have to figure out what is it that we're actually standing for, and then how do we actually stand on it? Mm-hmm. Because there's, for as many true beliefs there's 100 perversions.
Well, let me say this publicly. I supported Reverend Culpeper in this race. Now, he's won, so I'm not going to go back into my house and sit and do nothing. I'm going to hold him accountable for the things that he said he was going to do.
But also, too, when you even say that you supported him, let's be clear. Just like myself, and I just called him the other day, and it is because I've known him forever and all this. Right. But the level of support, you didn't vote for him, did you? Because that would be illegal.
I couldn't vote. Right. I couldn't vote for. But I gave some advice. I made some suggestions, and I was careful about even doing that. But now that he's won, I'm all out to make sure.
Yeah, and I don't mind publicly saying too. At least part of the conversation that we had is, back when I ran for office, mm-hmm. back in 2013, right? Mm-hmm. I created a website, district7boston.com. And I had offered it to Tanya. We could never make it work. And then, what have you. She created her own thing. But long story short is, I am going to give him anything that I have in my power.
Right.
hey, go do the job.
Right.
Because that's the thing about, particularly with a guy like Reverend Mignard, and like you with clergy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I am wary of clergy overall, generally,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you or him to be bad actors,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know that you and him both had a very community-centric approach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what you were doing in Common Square and years ago back with Chevu,
Mm-hmm.
to me, is very reminiscent of what he was doing in, the Humboldt area and the Trotter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Area and so on and so forth. So you can't fault that.
But
And,
can I push you on this? He's not only a pastor, and he's a community leader, but he's also a lawyer.
lawyer, used to work for
HUD.
FEMA.
Right.
HUD, part of self, HUD, right.
Right. So Reverend Haynes was a community person, worked with young folk, worked with college students, but being a lawyer and working with HUB, he knows the housing issues from a federal level, and I hope he is going to learn even more about the housing crisis and issues here in the city of Boston from the city level.
I'm hopeful in that regard as well, and I don't want to diminish his knowledge or whatever, but also too, I also just got to say that some of these things, despite your knowledge, my knowledge, your knowledge, anybody's knowledge in a particular area, some of these things we ain't gonna be able to fix.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. He is better suited and better prepared to deal with the housing crisis and all of this, but I do not believe that ultimately we're going to see a solution, because I don't get me started.
But he's
the
going to have to build
going up.
He's going to have to build a coalition, because it'd be one thing down there talking about what he wants to do, but if you can't get your ordinances passed, you're just a voice. Correct?
Well, beyond that, I'm talking about the actual power of the thing. Mm-hmm. No one can just get in there and wave a magic wand.
Right.
Even if everybody was you're not going to make rents, be half price. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to stop, Eversource and N-Star and all this stuff, and make everything 50% off. So the fact of the matter is that everything is going up. And I don't know that any singular politician, particularly at a city council level, mm-hmm. state rep, senator level, has the ability to stop this. I think we are just right now dealing with, an economy and everything that's just, it's going to be beyond, in my view, anybody's control, particularly people at the local level.
Well, what do you think about Mass and Cast? Have you heard any viable solution to that crisis? Have you heard any elected official come out with something that resonated with you?
No, and once again, this is where me, as a quote-unquote, the radical guy mm-hmm. and all this, mm-hmm. people think that I'm not I don't know what. This is where I get on my law and order hat, too. Because at some point, you got to lock people up. Mm. Okay? If you are openly doing drugs on the street,
yeah.
if you are openly selling drugs on the street,
yeah.
There just has to be, some level of a threshold. Mm-hmm. And, I feel bad for all of those businesses down there, even somewhere that's like a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Would you bring one of your grandchildren there to get a Happy Meal?
I was going to say, would I go to McDonald's? Not now.
Right. So that McDonald's, that gas station, the sub joint,
the hotel. right?
The hotel, well, the hotel had got taken over at one point for shelter, but the one in the back of South Bay has been the site of several murders now, and is, ongoing sexual, pimping and prostitution, and so it's very bad. It's very bad. But once again, I don't put the onus on all the elected officials, because sometimes when some of these problems become so crazy, these people don't have superhero powers and capes. They can't just, snap their fingers and fix. These problems are systemic. They're generationally deep. As a young youth pastor, when you were youth pastoring, you remember back then when it was the combat zone, right?
Yes, the combat zone, yeah.
Right. And so now, like everything else, it is morphed. And, we don't have to be in one area. We can be everywhere. Right?
Right. And do you know if Mayor Wu has a plan and a group of people that are working on this visibly?
Oh, clearly, there's several groups. I mean, I know everybody from the Boston Health Commission, which I read in the newspaper, is now possibly re-examining their what do I want to say? Their protocol about harm reduction. So I think that the city, and I don't want to, be quoted wrongly here, but from what I read, I believe that the city is now moving away from, the giving out the needles program.
Yes. Yeah.
And these type of things. But no, I know that there are many people and agencies working on it. But once again, I don't know how to explain it other than this. Look, me and Larry, we go out every Sunday and we do the food thing, right?
Right.
Now, what a fool I would be if I was going to tell you that me and Larry stop hunger. Right? So at some point, you just have to recognize what you are able to do.
Yeah,
and yes, you are trying to move things in this direction, but just because we go out and do food, we are not solving hunger.
So go back to what you said. Just because
someone talks to a kid, you're not solving violence.
Yeah, but go back to what you said about arresting. There are times when you need to arrest people. So go ahead. So talk about that. How is that the answer?
Well, okay, so justice and law. Look, let's say people with mental problems, right? We're all on a train, okay? And there's a guy who's clearly having a mental lapse. Great, I recognize that he's having a mental lapse and everything, but that doesn't mean that you get to pee on my leg or punch me in my face. So there has to be repercussions. We get it. You're going through a mental thing. But once again, you cannot commit assault or... You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to draw a line. So as a kid, me being bad, do you know the duck and dodge tactics we had to do just to drink a beer in the park? We were always concerned, we're drinking beer, it's illegal, oh my God. And if someone was coming across an adult or a cop or whatever, we had to either throw the beer in the bushes or, dodge that way, because there was an overall fear of doing things in public, drinking a beer in public or smoking a joint in public. You understand what I mean?
Threat of arrest was the concern.
Right, threat of arrest, or just, even the community shame or whatever. We didn't want old people to see us or whatever. We would put it out or go the other way or what have you. But that whole level of either community decorum or fear of law enforcement intervention has now gone away. So now you can shoot up in the middle of the street while drinking, while defecating, and you're okay.
Well, let me push you back to something else that we were talking about earlier. You've run for office. You ran. You worked as hard as you could, but you were not able to achieve that goal. Minister Priscilla, who broadcasts here, also
Rub it in, why don't you?
also ran for public office for an at-large seat and didn't break through. How did Reverend Culpepper do this? Because you've told your story many times here on the air, how you strategize, mistakes that may have been made, but how did he pull this off?
Well, number one, let's start there. Yeah, I started from a deficit because I was a write-in candidate.
Okay.
So you never want to do that. That's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
But my ego said, Jamal, enough people know you in the community that you, of anybody, you could pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I, too, could not pull it off. Okay? But I thought that there was actually a way to win. So the first off thing is that he did it right. He was on the ballot from the beginning. He got the signatures. It was not some write-in sticker candidacy. Okay? And then, two, as you know, when it started off, there was like 11 people in the mix.
Yes.
Right?
11, yeah.
Right, and then as it got whittled down, and two of the big blocks, I will say, was the two Muslim brothers, the two Saeeds, Saeed Abdi Karim, I believe, and Saeed Ahmed. Okay, so once the field was whittled down to the final two, I think that Reverend Culpepper gained the advantage of, one, he got endorsements from a lot of the other candidates and so on and so forth. But
Boston Teachers Union was a major endorsement for him.
And also too, like once again, it's not like nobody knows this guy. He's been around in Roxbury for a minute. Church, all this type of thing. So I think all of those type of things just, it just worked at the right time.
They gelled together. They came together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the other community, in terms of who's with both of the Saeeds, which was primarily Somalian community, and God bless them because they have, made their own power block in the decades that they've been here, and Lower Roxbury and whatnot. But ultimately, Minyard was able to get a larger piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did not come in the preliminary election. He was wasn't he number 2? He came in.
Well, once again, that thing. This is where the numbers get so screwy, because when there's 11 different people in there, you know what I mean. The pie gets sliced differently.
I see. Uh-huh.
But he was definitely in one of the 4 or 5 people who broke the 1,000 votes. Because I think it was 4 or 5 different people got over 1,000 votes in that election, and then it was down into the hundreds. But once again, once it cleared up to the 2, it became more evident.
So these are some of the things that I found in my research for today regarding how he organized the door knocking, which is important, the phone banking, the targeted outreach, rides to the polls, and church-to-church networks. Those are the 5 things that I found that he did that helped him significantly to win this race. So
Absolutely.
how are you, or how do you hold elected officials accountable? How do you do it? How do you challenge them to do what they said they were going to do, or to help you with something in the district that you think needs correction? How do you do it?
I only put forth policies, proposals, and plans. And then it's on you to get with it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if I have a great idea, I'm going to try to write it up, at least in a preliminary fashion to the best of my abilities, to propose it. Then if you look at this and you say, hey, well, that actually makes good sense.
Right.
Hey, I could, that's kind of how I work. Because I really, what I know that doesn't work is shaming, calling people out,
On
aggressive
the attack, yeah.
Antagonistic, for no reason. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it does work, but I mean, you got to have a reason. But, you can't just be out there willy-nilly, firing off at everybody because of everything. So, and particularly when you haven't proposed something that is, so if you don't like something, great. What's the alternative?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I actually have a series of writings that'll be coming out where I'm using a bit of my humor and sarcasm to poke fun at some of the biggest issues in the city, and pose what I'm going to say are like common sense solutions, but they won't make any sense. But little things like, everybody doesn't like the bike lanes and the bus lanes. Well, yeah, I have an idea for that. And, I'll preview it for your audience here, but remember when they tore down the L trains?
Yes.
Everybody used to like the L trains, a lot of nostalgia there. Well, I think that now we should have elevated bike lanes.
Elevated bike lanes.
Right. Just get them out of the way, up on the top. No one has to deal with them. And yeah, elevated bike lanes.
So that is you one of the Jetsons or something?
I mean, literally, I'm proposing these things, as I said, as kind of comedic absurdities,
right? To address
about larger issues that certainly, affect everyone.
Well, I'm reading in my notes here, and it talks about the District 7 voter respond to personal contact. They said that Culpepper, his team, excelled at it. It says his experience in housing issues also helped him communicate clearly on development, displacement, and affordability in a district fighting gentrification pressures that clearly matters. Did you know the team that he had? Did you work at all with him on the ground, or was it just from a distance making observations?
No, I don't know his team. I know him, and I know his expertise. And once again, I think that he is very knowledgeable in those areas. I do not know how much that means it will be able to change. Right? So just because he's knowledgeable in the areas of housing and so on and so forth, I don't know that translates into, you know what I mean?
And you're saying, you said earlier, that we are not going to stop gentrification.
That's what I mean. Like just because you are knowledgeable about the tides of the sea does not mean you're going to be able to stop the flood. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so if you were in District 7, city councilor, what would be your priority?
Moving to Rhode Island.
You can't do that. We need you here.
No. For real, District 7, I think, at the end of the day, all district councilors and all public servants really should stick to the script. The main script is, the road work, the potholes, schools, it's really the basics. A lot of times people can get, into these large, ideas and whatnot. As we've seen this happen in the city council before, wanting to speak on world issues and, you know what I mean? But I think really that any city councilor for any district really just needs to focus on the main. It's all about constituent services. It's the everyday stuff. And it's, oftentimes it's the boring, it's the mundane. It's not sexy, it's not exciting, it's not the big headline stuff. But if you can help deliver the basic city services to your constituents, you're going to win, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and with the time that we have remaining, it said in my notes that Culpeper had 53% of the vote, Ahmed had 45%, a clear but not overwhelming margin. It says Culpeper didn't win by accident. It said he won because he built trust, he presented stability, he out-organized, and he kept the issues at the center. I wasn't sure, to be honest with you, that he could pull this off. I wasn't sure. What about you?
Well, once again, I think that, his reputation in the neighborhood, having a base, actually counts. So whatever you want to count the base for, he's going to start off with, the people of his church, and then, the surrounding area. His track record, as you say, as a lawyer, his track record with, HUD, so on and so forth. So, it's nothing to sneeze at. So I think that, all of that, once again, after it was, the 11 people whittled down to 2, I think that all that worked in his favor. And now we're going to see, on the deliverable side of, how he will bring all these talents and networks and relationships to bear.
Yeah. District 7 needs safer streets, stronger schools, improved economic opportunities, a solution to mass and caste aftermath, and a thoughtful development that protects long-term residents. I'll give you the final word, then I gotta go.
Well, that's it. God bless him. And I think that once again, now we will get to see, some of his visions in play. And, God bless anybody who had the courage to run for office, as long as you're running from the right place.